Okay, babies. Video appreciation and appreciation to growth and to structure. Uh, so there's another video here. A constant versus consistent. And I think that when I wrote a note, like an appreciation to growth and to structure, I feel like I want to give kind of like one of those gratitude moments where I'm considering just how modern society has been constructed through the concepts of the world. And fun fact, you can see like the more intricate the buildings are, the more in the planning and the structure and the design that and more thought goes into those things. And the simpler the actual houses and the things around you, the less into like structure and design. It becomes there's a certain kind of let it be the way it is. And as important as it is for us to take the world simply and to actually enjoy life left and right, I don't necessarily think our mental construct should should be like a house that hasn't been considered when it comes to design, when it comes to like a proper structure and the concepts and the basically principles and values that are the foundation of why it exists. And maybe if I discuss it from this perspective, even though constructing a 50 floor building is a lot harder than actually constructing a small house, the idea becomes that your mind is such a beautiful existence that works with you throughout your life. Like you are not your mind. Your mind is like a separate entity connected to consciousness where you are basically just working with and extracting information. And if you allow your mind to be built, there's a chance you could be like, I don't know, man. Anyone could live a happy life and have a peace and find their way to peace. But you can still kind of have like a strong, solid structure that you can build peace upon. And once the structure is constructed, you don't care anymore. It really is just like maintenance when it comes to a 50-story building. It's just engaging with the parts that could get weak over time. And maintenance when it comes to your mental mindset is just engaging with the things that you care about, right? Because your mind kind of builds itself. So when I wrote this about like how to appreciate growth and how structure basically supports this growth, because every single time I feel like I want to like level up, the first thing you look at your position right now and currently where you are. And as I actually engage with this position, I realize the small places that might require maintenance, that might require a bit more attention from me. And ultimately, what I'll be doing is just feeding into the passions that I have and the things that I'm interested in and I like and I want to engage with in this world. Step by step, day after day, I do my part and I basically support my mind in order for it to kind of like do its part. Slowly dictating the goals I want, the values that I have, the principles, reassuring them, reaffirming them, and eventually building a structure that I could rise through. And that also reminds me of an anime, uh, History's Strongest Disciple, a manga. I read the whole manga. The anime sucks. I wouldn't recommend anyone to like watch the anime. But the concept behind it is there are like the good guys that are very individualistic. Uh, yes, but found a way under one cause as martial artists to kind of like sit under one roof. And then you have the other guys that believe in martial arts is the art of killing. So one, the good guys are the people that believe in the light. Martial art is an art for protecting. While the darker side of martial art is an art for killing. They're not necessarily criminals, but they're martial artists and we're fighting to the death. I'm gonna kill you. But the idea behind it is that at one point, the disciple has been training with them for like 6 months, but they haven't taught him any techniques. And then as he was sitting with them and complaining, he ends up like going on the street and finding this guy and trying to have a match with him. But the guy is a master and he's still a disciple. So what happens is as they're engaging, the master is fascinated by the build of this disciple. And he comes up to him and he starts explaining. He goes like, if you were to build a house, the bigger the house, the bigger the foundation, right? And it only makes sense. So he compares like a normal fighter to the foundation of a two-story building versus his foundation to a foundation of like a full castle. And what happened was the thought that came is like the structure in their training that his masters were giving him, this disciple. Again, it's a manga, right? Like, but the philosophy behind it. Listen to me. Don't be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? The philosophy was establish a strong foundation where everything is drilled so that when the actual time comes for you to learn techniques, you have a solid base that you can build anything you want on top of them. And I really think for us, because like what we're trying to do as entrepreneurs or what we're trying to do as people is kind of establish that path. It'll be a lot easier if I decided I wanted to be an architect because like a lot of people got to architecture. So I'll do what everything has been done and I follow the leads of like the giants in front of me in the field. And then at one point I will be one of the giants that's being creative. Why? Because everything that was established is done. And I think that's the philosophy behind Van Gogh because he started painting at 27, but like he dedicated himself to like learn from everyone. And by the time he was like 35, he was kind of like one of the best painters in the world simply because of how he actually conducted himself towards it. He worked on building the structure in order to express himself. So fucking appreciation, dudes. Everything around us in society is an inspiration of some sort. There's a lot of detail that goes to a lot of things, and it's super funny because like the simplest thing, which is this, probably had somebody thinking I want to create this like tissue paper sample, the box. I wanted to create it in a round way because it fits somewhere in the car. This looks like it can fit in the cup holder in the car, right? So like these are all people's thoughts, things people kind of like founded their ideas on top of. And anyway you look at it, there has to be there's the structures that are around us that were built by people in order for them to succeed and to express and to reach their to show the world, to reach to the world what they're trying to like, what they're trying to express and trying to create and trying to like elaborate on. And I really think that's, if you're trying, if you not trying, I don't like that word. If you are in the process of growing up, improving, developing, and the easiest way is to see what others did when it came to structures. And by doing that, you're basically engaged with how they succeeded and compare it to how you are actually moving. At the very least, points of reference become easier to notice. Especially like for me, I'm trying to do something kind of like new, but not, a lot of people have attempted different things similar. Like I'm doing a startup and I'm doing a startup pertaining society, but I'm refusing to do it as a business. I'm trying to do it as a social thing. So I have to find where people failed and where people succeeded. The failures are more important because I'm attempting something new. So I want to see what not to try. But also their successes are like what build the base, what build the architecture, and what build the structure of the system that makes me work towards implementing what's on my mind. Because if I'm not strong enough to implement it, then it's going to fail. And if I'm not strong enough to handle it when the time comes, it's going to fail. And it's the difference between pretending you know what you're doing, the fake it till you make it, or basically actually like enabling slowly, always asking the right questions and pushing for you to be, I don't want to say pushing, but like increasing your odds by doing more of the right thing and establishing more of the wrong things to build your actual structure for your own personal growth, to be able to isolate the path that would be most successful to lead you to where you have to go. Appreciation, dude. Everything around us is an inspiration. At one point was inspired. And even if people don't like understand the feeling, but the reality is if we just give thought to the small things that we do, then the big things wouldn't matter anymore because they become side effects. Ultimately, what we're doing is whatever it is that's in front of us. So might as well kind of like not leave the house messy, but stuff where we would remember they would be, right? Best way I can say it. Thank you guys.